going to be loud and drink coffee.
That's
on brand if we're really
going. Well, we'd like to welcome to the show Sidney Morss. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yes,
and she is a comedian, a social media content creator, and just all the things. She's a consultant and a stand-up comedian, and we love that. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Of course. I'm excited to be here. I realized when you sent me your briefing, I was like, oh, he found my LinkedIn bio, which does say I'm a consultant.
Yeah, I don't know. You could cyberstalk anyone these days.
It's true. No, it's true. It is true. And I have been a consultant. I have signed a consulting contract. I've done that. So.
But yeah, I guess let's just get into it a little bit about, your journey. We talked about a little bit about your professional journey before, and I would love to hear just more expanding on that and how you got to where you are now.
How I am now. Yeah, actually, I thought it was, I'm just talking about the back end stuff. But when I saw the briefing, one of the questions that you sent me was, were you a successful stand-up comedian beforehand? And I was like,
yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Absolutely not. Like, was I a stand-up comedian? Yes. Like, have I been doing shows all the time? No, like I've always had a day job. I still have a day job. We're in the middle of my day job recording this call. So I got an acting degree. I went to NYU. It was like very cliche white girl. And I did a lot of Shakespeare training and all this, intense stuff. And then I graduated and my friends and I just started shooting sketches together. Cause that's what you can afford to shoot in your apartment. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
You're and we did all sorts of stuff. It was not the same kind of stuff that's going on TikTok now. In fact, I think back to one of our first videos and it was 5-minute long sketch about juice cleanses that we opened with a full 60 seconds of credits over music and what? And so we did a bunch of that stuff. None of it hit very well. We were uploading mostly to Funny or Die. And then right around the 2016 election, we did this series of tweets. I did satirical readings of real things politicians had tweeted that year. We did a couple of these and they made it to the Funny or Die homepage and they were sort of the first thing that started to blow up. And that was when I was oh yeah, maybe I just want to do real world sort of commentary and satire stuff. And then I didn't for a long time. And I started doing a lot of stand-up comedy. I started doing some immersive theater. I was nannying. I was doing a lot of stand-up comedy at night and I was nannying during the day. And that didn't work schedule wise. I'm also just going to talk about my day job because it all kind of slots in together.
It's all good.
Yeah. So it didn't work. Right. So right. I was and I think that people never want to talk about this, but I got real work depressed. I was waking up and sobbing before I had to go to my nannying job and then going to make the kids lunch. And so I was very work depressed and it was because of my time. So I decided that I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I definitely wanted to be able to work remotely in some form. I wanted some sort of flexibility. So I spent 6 months because I wasn't unemployed. So I was making money. So I was just sort of slowly applying for jobs. And I applied for a bunch of different stuff. And I ended up in a day job in content management. And then I was doing stand-up at night and immersive theater, hilariously also at night. And then my day job was in media content management really at the time. And I wasn't doing TikTok. I started TikTok mid-pandemic. So then 2020 hit and I was working this consulting sort of media job during the day. And I had just started a run of shows with a friend of mine called Down Ballot Comedy. And we were going to do a run up of live performances to the 2020 election. And we had done a couple early in the year and they were trivia nights / stand-up shows. And we were filming these little sketches that were very heady. We were really explaining specific ballot initiatives in New York that you should or shouldn't vote for. We thought, you know what I mean? Right. And it was fun. I was having a fun time. And then we shut all of it down in March of 2020, as everyone did.
As you do.
Yeah, I remember I remember texting back and forth and being no, we really can't have shows.
Right.
So we shut everything down and I isolated in my apartment and did my day job for months. And stopped creating anything. I did some Zoom comedy and then I'm an overshare. So I was living with somebody who was sort of hard to he didn't appreciate the Zoom comedy or the content creation in the house.
He didn't appreciate you, is what he didn't
appreciate me. And my need to like, it's also, I mean, like how narcissistic to talk into. It's the whole pursuit. I'm a narcissist, obviously. I think it says attention seeker on my Instagram bio because, like, let's be honest. So I stopped doing anything and I got sad again, as with many periods of my life. And then I moved back home to Colorado for like a year. My lease ran up and I went and lived at my mother's house, as we all did. Not all of us, but about half of us under the age of 30, in fact. And I paid her rent and I worked from home there. I kept my day job. And that's when I launched the TikTok. Right. And that's how we got here. And then I've talked incessantly. You talk now. And then I'll...
No, it's all good because I think that flows into, you know, we were talking about Clubhouse when we first met. Yes. And we were talking about how you thought that platform really wasn't going anywhere, but then you moved to TikTok. So I guess why do you feel as a content creator that TikTok is a good platform for you?
Yeah, TikTok's not the only platform I post on, I will say, but it's all the same stuff. So I started on TikTok, honestly, because nobody knew me there. Like I was worried... Right. Like Instagram is where my friends were following me. I'm not a huge social media person. Now I am, hilariously. I use it all the time, but I like was not, if you do a deep scroll on like my Instagram page, it's like pictures of my dogs. Like it's not like all, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't like a trendy influencer style person. I'm still really not, obviously. So I tried TikTok because I had no presence there. And I just thought I can sort of anonymously try this out for a while. And I really did. Like I got to like 30,000 followers before people in my life realized, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think it was sort of just like a safety net. And I was curious like about the algorithm. I work in social media for like brands for my day job. So I read the blogs about the algorithms and I think about it a lot. And I can tell you exactly which was the first video that blew up. And then when it blew up, I went and looked around the web and was like, okay, how are people maintaining viral streaks? Like, cause everybody, spoiler alert, if you're on TikTok, one of your videos is going to go viral, right? And they're doing that to give you a dopamine pump. So you're like, oh, I can make more of these. And that's why you'll see like somebody has one video blow up and then all of a sudden they're like on camera 5 times a day for the next week, like trying to sell like beauty brands and their skincare. And it's stupid. Like it's so, don't do that, you know? So I went for a dig and I was like, what pages do I like? And how does their content cycle and how does it maintain and who's staying engaged, right? Like, a lot of people have pages that you'll see accrue big followings just via like mass production of like a bunch of videos that all have 10,000 views or whatever. Right. And whatever, fine. I'm not, do that. Good 10 points to you. That's totally a thing, but that's harder to monetize. That's less, I don't know. That's not what I was going for. It was like, who's maintaining engaged audiences?
Yeah. And who wants to do, unless you want to do that for your full-time job, but like who wants to revolve their life around doing 10 videos a day? So, yeah. Well, yeah.
And honestly, I think it's not a dissimilar amount of time. It's just like I put on 4 different outfits for every video. And then I stupid, each of it's at a time. It's just that I come out with less stuff. And a lot of people are doing that too. Like if you see anything that's really has a lot of cuts, it took that person a second. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So how did you find your footing then? Like, what did you see? What are some of the big trends, since we're talking about social media, that you see that really like cling to people and the people were?
Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm not a trend person. I decided pretty early on that I'm not, I would say I follow like what the ethos of everyone is talking about is online, totally. But I'm not doing the dance trends. I'm not doing the sounds. Cause I'm not cool. I was never going to sell me as cool. I was like, that's a waste of my time and energy. I'm not going to be cool. So my first video that blew up, I was recording old jokes because I hadn't been doing stand-up in months. And I was just saying into the phone screen, my old jokes, and I was not hitting. And then I did you found me through my work videos, but my generation gap videos that are like Gen Z, Gen X, millennials, and boomers, all as characters are absolutely what blew up first. That's like the core of it, which is so funny. So I filmed one of those. They're what blew up the page. So the first one of those all of a sudden started getting like hundreds of thousands of views. Hilariously, and so on brand for me, it has a massive typo. The word millennial is spelled wrong throughout every time the character talks. Of course, it's what went viral. Yeah. So I, it was because I started looking around and I was like, oh, you have to like, you have to work hard and think through ideas. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I can like characters is interesting to me. I can cut together a story. Um, so yeah, I did the generation ones for a while, and then I think I started making workplace content because like I do work at a startup.
Right.
I don't work in an office. I think it is funny. Like friends will text me after they see all my TikToks and be like, "Oh, are you looking for a new job?" Like I had a friend text me today and she was like, "Are you interviewing at like tech startups right now? Like, do you want to rec?" And I was like, "No, I'm keeping my job. If my boss is listening, I'm keeping my job."
Right.
Um, I think people all think it's all true. They're like people write in and be like, "You have to quit where you work," and I'm like literally, it couldn't all be true. Like all the sketches couldn't apply to
Yeah.
one office. Like,
Otherwise, you would A, either go insane, or B, just like, I don't know, like quit just out of sheer like
what is it?
exhaustion.
Like it genuinely logically couldn't be true. I'm making
Yeah.
sketches about in office. I'm making sketches about work from home. I'm making sketches about big
Right.
corporations. I'm making sketches about startups. Like it genuinely can't all be one job. Or a lot of it based on aspects of my work life. My friends, like I did one on being a woman at a meeting because like a friend called me and was pissed off about like her work day as a woman and like talked me through it. And I was like, I'll make you a TikTok. Like it's so there they come from. What I'm feeling about my job, what I am talking to people about with their jobs. And then also like I'm on the internet, I'm watching all of you guys get online and complain about your work day. I'm reading the articles about like the great resignation. I get it. Like,
Right.
so yeah, I'm reading. I read my comments. I don't respond to my comments, because lots of reasons, but I read them. And if you guys are like hitting on a theme over and over and over again, I'm going to talk about it. I also sometimes just straight up ask. I'll go to my Instagram stories. I'll be like, what do you guys want to see content about? And people will write me in. So yeah, that's sort of where it's all coming from.
Well, that's interesting. So do you feel as though your content helps people? Like, we've all been in like work situations where it sucks, or like some boss. Your sketch that always connects with me is like, I'm gonna produce more and I'm not gonna get paid anymore, and it's like just so universal.
Haven't we all?
Yeah, yes. Haven't we all? Oh, my partner, she talks about that all the time. She's like, oh, somebody's quitting and I'm just going to have to do more work, and there's not going to be more money.
And then they're going to be like, aren't you grateful for everything you learned?
Yeah, exactly.
I can't tell you how many times I've been like, but aren't you learning so much? And I'm like, how about we, like, I acquired skills and I provide you with more value now. Like, I learned it on YouTube, not because like,
yeah. Not because I'm some sort of genius. So like,
well, and also not because of this environment. Like that's something I bring to you, my willingness to like learn about this company and improve. Like if I go home and I spend my evening watching a YouTube tutorial and then I come in at work the next day and I'm better because I learned how to Webflow, whatever. Like I did that. That's me getting a skill, not you giving me a skill.
Right. Yeah. No, for sure. It's just, yeah, I know that I have seen your other millennium sketches, or whatever you want, generation sketches. Sure. But I always connected with you through the work sketches.
You could also be here for the liberal rage. That's what we haven't touched on.
The liberal rage too. Yeah.
I think that's like actually my favorite stuff. It does the least well when I do like a little weird political dig, like when I'm like, oh, this small topic I wanted to. It like never does as well. But my mom is always like, I love
that. My dad's always like, get that Bernie sign out of the back of your podcast, boy. And I was like, whatever, man. That's just how it is. Yeah. You just got to get the digs in. So do you see like, is this, I know that do you like doing this? I guess being on TikTok, having this venture, this.
Yeah, I like being on TikTok.
Yeah. So I guess my question more is like.
It's like a gotcha question.
How do you see this developing, I guess? Because I asked a YouTuber this one time, like, are you going to go to TikTok? Like, are you going to try to go to YouTube? Is there some way you see yourself growing this presence? Like, how do you see the future look like?
It's a great question that I'm trying to figure out the answer to myself also at the moment, if I'm totally honest. I am definitely... I really think it's a brain space problem. This is probably not the answer that you want, but it's I thought about this before. I was like, how am I going to explain the arc of my career? And I have to tell you, like, honest to God, my like focus right now, is figuring out how to free up my brain space so that I can
Mm.
figure out what I want to do with this platform, right? Because I work a full-time job, and then this is at least a part-time job,
Right.
if not more. And so, and that like this, I've been doing a lot less live stand-up, and I was feeling really bad for a lot of like, as I was growing this presence, I stopped doing live stand-up because I'm not like this American hustle culture idea that we should all work like 100 hours a week. Like I don't like that. And I end up hustling. Like my lifestyle is super hustly, but like I'm not going for that. And it doesn't let my brain breathe, and it's not making me be as like funny as I want to be. So I long story short, I want to monetize the platform enough to not need the day job so I can figure out what I want to do with the creative entity.
Mm.
And that's really my goal for this year. If we're just like talking nuts and bolts of it, and that's what I've been doing. I spent 2021 growing it, and I've been spending early 2022 trying to figure out really sort of like who do I want to partner with? I've taken on a few paid spots because of the type of channel it is and because of the type of person I am. Like I'm only working with really specific people. Because I want to believe in your product and I want it to be gross. Like I'm not the kind of person who's going to sell you like a Shein unboxing thing. Like that's just never going to be like some green smoothie weight loss brand wrote me the other day. And I was like, fuck you. Like this is obviously not a green smoothie weight loss brand page. Okay.
Right.
Like, this is, so I'm trying to figure out how to support myself off the creative content so I can spend more time on the creative content, which is not a glamorous answer, but it's where I'm at.
I mean, that's the truth, which is fine. You do need to do a TikTok about like the side hustle. Like I feel like everyone tells you have to have a side hustle in order to like, and it's like,
I have a generation gap about the side hustle, actually.
Oh, well then I need to watch it.
It's old. You're right. I mean, it's okay. The idea is filter. I'll probably redo it. But yeah, no, everyone's like, have a side hustle. And I have a side hustle, and I still think it's like such a toxic culture. Like,
yeah. No, it's crazy because, there's so much. We talk about this a lot in the podcast, and Brendan always hates me because I bring it up all the time, but it's like everybody yells at you from every side. It's like, you have to invest. You make sure you're investing, open a Roth IRA, get a side hustle. And I'm just like, dude, I'm just trying to survive in this world.
You're like, okay, I woke up, I sat down at my desk. That was like a huge ask.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm now No, I remember once I was asking for a raise because of one of those things where you've acquired a million skills and like you're still being paid like you have no skills. And I was still nannying on the side because I didn't make enough money to live. And I was like in New York City. And I was telling my boss that I needed a raise. And I wasn't bringing up I was like, because I provide this and this and this for the company. And she was like, well, I just don't know how committed to this you are. You still nanny on the side. And I was like, because you don't pay me enough money to live. Like, you think I want to nanny on the side? Like, that's a fun hobby that like I'm ignoring this job for. Like, I just remember being like, oh my, that's what you think? Like,
that's my dream job. I'm just holding on to this so I can nanny.
I'm not committed to this because I need to nanny. Like,
so that's an interesting question. Now that you told me that your employer knows you're on TikTok. Yes. When that discovery occurred, like, what was that like for you? Okay, and I guess what was that conversation? Because I feel like a lot of people have that concern that they start things up and then somebody will find them and then it's just like, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Okay, so it's actually, it's many folds of fear. I will say right away, because not only do I make workplace content, I work in the Gen X baby boomer space. Like I work specifically, which I think a lot of people don't know. I think they watch the page and they're like, she's never talked to, but no, I spend all day talking to like Gen X boomers. That's my whole world. So I was actually worried they were going to be mad about that content, which is why I'll get to how it happened, but I have to touch on this because if you're a creator, this is like the thing that I regret the most. So I just have to say it. I didn't post my stuff on Instagram for months because I was afraid people would find me there. And that's why my TikTok following is so much. Like I have 20,000 followers on Instagram and like 160,000 followers on TikTok. It's easier to grow on TikTok, but there's other reasons as well. But also it's because I just didn't post there for months out of like unnecessary fear. So put your stuff everywhere. The unwatermarked versions of it, like take your time, be careful, but put it everywhere. So yeah, so I didn't put it on Instagram, and I just had it on TikTok, and I thought no one would ever find out because I was like, they're too old to be on TikTok. It'll be fine. And my boss and I, it's like a small company. My boss and I are like text all the time. And she texted me one day and her daughter found it.
Ooh.
She was
Oh
like,
man.
my daughter says you're TikTok famous. And I was like, oh, LOL, like a little bit, I guess. Like, not really. Like I'm not really famous. You know what I mean? Obviously, like I still have the day job. So, and then it was fine. Like, honestly, she thought it was funny. Like, we work in media space. Then it was fine. She was like, these are hilarious. You're making fun of us. She tells everyone that they're about her. Which, like, some of them are, but most of them are, not. And it's very funny. So, because I remember thinking, like, as I was horrified that people were going to find it, I was like, okay, but also, like, if she finds it and she, like, doesn't want me to go online and say that she's, like, underpaying and overworking me, like, she could, like, pay me more, work me less. Yeah, like, there are remedies. So that was, like, sort of where I'd gotten in my own head. I was like, well, and then it was fine. And then we were like one startup, and we went through this round of selling ourselves to another startup.
Oh.
And that made me get scared too, right? I was like, they're going to know. And hilariously, my boss announces it at their first meeting with me. She's like, Sidney's TikTok famous and all the jokes are about me. I was like,
whoa.
And they also, I mean, like, on the one hand, it's funny because I was like I work in social media and content management. It's actually kind of a plus that I know how to blow up an online presence. You know what I mean? But yeah. I was sitting there thinking like, oh, they're going to hate me for it. And no, they thought they were like, great. You know how this space works. Excellent. Like,
right.
So it's actually been fine. I don't say their name. I don't be stupid. Don't shoot in your place of employment. Don't, Yeah. But I think it's more fine than we think it's gonna be. I mean, I also I'm not a teacher. I'm not I work in media and content. Like, we also talk about like sex and work and life and all this stuff and art. So it's gone over a lot more fine than I thought it would be, I would say.
Yeah, I'm always interested because like people have turned down coming on the show because they are worried they're gonna get connected back to their work, because we also have like a big LinkedIn presence, but it's like, yeah, it's the internet. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, you're not hiding. I don't know if you think that, like, I realize that you're on TikTok and it's more of a younger generation thing, but like, if you're famous enough or like big enough on TikTok, somebody will find you. Like,
and people post you everywhere else. Like, I think that's the funny thing. I had a high school friend reach out to me because he found my stuff on Reddit, and like, I'm never on Reddit. Like, I didn't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, I think people are going to find you. It's funny. Like, people ask me where I work all the time in my comment sections. And
in
I don't say, but also like, it's not, you can figure it out. Like, it's, right. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I have a LinkedIn. Like, it's, so I think, I don't know. My boss tells everyone we meet, and it's the funniest thing. Like, I really thought that like once she found out, we would sort of keep it as like a private secret. And she like tells new brands we work with. Like,
that is the best. I didn't know I came to this meeting to be roasted. Come on, man.
It's like we just hired like a fractional CMO. He's like this big fancy guy, and we all like went to go meet him. And she like at first meeting,
oh my god,
he came in the next day. He was like, I watched all of your things. I was like, this is. But it's also like, who am I? Like, I put it all online to be like. I recently started dating a new guy, and he texted me, and he was like, "Is it weird if I watch all your videos?" And I was like, it's weird. You like, I would have, oh my God, if you put that much content on the internet, I would have watched it all already. Like, how are you restraining yourself? Like, I know what I'm doing. I put it all out there. You can watch it. Like,
right. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
But that's great. Is there anything, is there anything else you want? Like, we usually give the space at the end of our show to like, if our guests want to say where we can find them, when's your next stand-up show? I don't know.
My next stand-up show. Embarrassingly, I don't have a calendar date for that, so just we won't. I'm doing it. It's all online is where you can find me. And it's all just my name. And it's really depressing if searching my name doesn't bring me up, but it's all at Sidney Morss, SidneyMorss, both spelled weird. And yeah, I think about that sometimes too. I'm like, should I have used my full actual name and everything? Because I definitely did. Like,
No, you should have. I mean, it's very unique. I looked you up immediately and you came up. So there it is.
there
Yeah.
you are. There you are. Yeah. So no, it's all just my name, and you can find me on everything. But I presume I'm much easier to find on TikTok and Instagram. You can
You
find
are.
me on Facebook. I don't upload anything to Facebook. What do you think? I'm behind trends? Should I be doing
No, I
that?
think you're ahead of trends, if anything,
I
really.
just started YouTube Shorts. I have but it's exactly the same. It's all the same content. Everything is
Right.
going over. Twitter is slightly different, but very infrequent. You'd have to be really devoted to me to care about my Twitter because it's not that interesting. So if you're really devoted, same name on Twitter.
Well, thank you so much for coming
Here's
on the
it.
show, Sydney. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. This has been a bundle of fun. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah.